My name is Emily Brooks. 2 years ago, my husband didn't just divorce me. He erased me from the company we built together. Last Tuesday, he finished the job. At exactly 9:03 in the morning, he fired me in front of the entire executive board. No warning, no private conversation, no respect, just one sentence. Your services are no longer needed. Nobody looked at me. The people who used to call me their mentor kept staring at the conference table. I don't blame them. He was the CEO, and nobody wanted to be next. The funny thing is, that company wasn't really his. Not the way everyone believed. 14 years earlier, Ryan and I had started it in the garage of our first apartment in Chicago. I wrote the business plan. I answered customer emails, packed orders, handled payroll, negotiated contracts, while Ryan chased investors. People called him the face of the company. I never cared. I believed we were building a future together. Until success changed him. The bigger the company became, the smaller our marriage felt. Late meetings became overnight business trips. Business trips became excuses. One afternoon, I found a message on his laptop. It wasn't meant for me. I can't wait until the divorce is final. It had been sent to his executive assistant. 3 months later, he married her. I signed the divorce papers, walked away with almost nothing. Not because I couldn't fight, but because I was too tired. I kept working at the company. Not for Ryan, for the employees. Many of them had been with us since the beginning. They felt like family. Until last Tuesday, Ryan looked me in the eyes, as if I were just another employee. Security will escort you out. I picked up the small cardboard box holding 14 years of memories. One coffee mug, family photo, and my favorite notebook. That was it. As I stepped outside, I told myself something. Don't cry here. Cry later. I had almost reached the parking lot when a black Lincoln Navigator stopped beside me. The driver stepped out. Ms. Brooks. Yes. My name is Michael Lawson. My employer has been trying to contact you. I'm not interested in another job. He smiled. This isn't about a job. It's about the building you just walked out of. I frowned. What about it? He handed me a business card. Lawson Capital Partners. One of the biggest commercial real estate firms in the country. Then he said something that completely changed my life. What if I told you? Your ex-husband doesn't own that building. I stared at him for several seconds. I'm sorry. I think you've confused me with someone else. Michael smiled. I don't think so. Your name came up in every meeting, every report, and every conversation. I've wanted to meet you for months. I crossed my arms. You still haven't answered my question. He nodded. Fair enough. The office tower your company operates from isn't owned by Mitchell Technologies. It's owned by a man named Charles Donovan. I frowned. I know who he is. He refused to sell the building years ago. Michael smiled again. That changed last week. My heart skipped a beat. He sold it. Yes. And my firm bought it yesterday. I looked back at the 30-story glass tower. Ryan had always acted like he owned the place. Employees believed it too. Even most executives didn't know they were only tenants. So, what does any of this have to do with me? Michael reached into his briefcase, then handed me a thick folder. I'd like you to read this. What is it? There were financial statements, property records, architectural plans, lease agreements, everything related to the building. I looked up. Why are you showing me confidential documents? Because they won't stay confidential. What do you mean? We're creating a new ownership partnership. We'll invest the money. But we want someone else to own a controlling share. I almost laughed. I was fired an hour ago. I can't even afford lunch. Michael leaned forward. I'm not interested in your bank account. I'm interested in your reputation. He slid another document across the table. It wasn't about real estate. It was about me. Employee surveys, client testimonials, letters from vendors. Every page said almost the same thing. Asterisk, Emily was the reason we stayed. Asterisk. Asterisk, Emily solved problems nobody else could. Asterisk. Asterisk, Emily always treated people with respect. Asterisk. I felt my eyes beginning to water. Ryan had spent years convincing me I wasn't valuable anymore. Yet complete strangers had been watching my work. Michael quietly asked, "Do you know why our firm chose you?" I shook my head. Because buildings don't create successful businesses. People do. And according to everyone we've interviewed, you were the person holding that company together. I looked down at the final page. There was only one blank line. Signature. What happens if I sign this? Michael smiled. You'll become the majority owner of the building. Froze. And Ryan? He'll become your tenant. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then I picked up the pen. Not because I wanted revenge, but because for the first time in years, someone believed in me. I signed my name, Emily Brooks. I had no idea that 3 weeks later, Ryan would walk into work and discover that every elevator, every office, every conference room now belonged to the woman he thought he'd erased forever. 3 weeks passed. I never called Ryan. I never sent him a message. I didn't post anything online. I simply went to work. Quietly. Lawson Capital gave me a small office on the 22nd floor. Not inside Mitchell Technologies, but in the same building. Most people had no idea I was there. The ownership transfer had been completed without publicity. Business continued as usual. At least, that's what Ryan believed. Until Monday morning. At exactly 8:30, my phone buzzed. It was Michael. You should come downstairs. Why? Because your tenant just arrived. Smiled. For the first time in weeks, I walked into the lobby. Ryan stepped through the revolving doors. Still wearing his expensive navy suit. Still carrying himself like he owned the world. He didn't even notice me. Then the building manager approached him. Good morning, Mr. Mitchell. I need 5 minutes of your time. Ryan looked annoyed. I'm late. It'll only take a moment. The manager handed him a sealed envelope. Ryan opened it. His confident smile disappeared almost instantly. He read the first page again, then a second time. This can't be right. The manager remained calm. I'm afraid it is. Ryan looked around. Who approved this? The manager turned toward me. She did. Ryan slowly followed his gaze. Our eyes met across the lobby. For a moment, he looked completely speechless. You! I walked toward him. Good morning, Ryan. What is this? It's a notice. You now have 90 days before your current lease expires. Ryan laughed nervously. Very funny. This building is practically mine. I gently shook my head. No, you've only been renting it. He looked at the manager. Tell her. The manager quietly replied. Ms. Brooks is now the majority owner of this property. Ryan's face turned pale. Employees walking through the lobby had started slowing down. Some recognized me immediately. Others whispered my name. Ryan lowered his voice. You planned this. I looked him straight in the eyes. No, you fired me. Life simply gave me another door. He stared at me. You want revenge? I smiled softly. If I wanted revenge, I would have locked your doors this morning. His expression changed. But I didn't. Because this building isn't about revenge. It's about responsibility. Then, Michael walked over holding another folder. Ms. Brooks. The investors are waiting. He nodded, then looked back at Ryan. I'd like you to attend the meeting. He frowned. Why would I? Because your company's future depends on what happens in that room. Ryan swallowed hard. For the first time since I'd known him, He wasn't walking into a meeting as the most powerful person there. He was walking in as a tenant asking permission to stay. The boardroom was already full when Ryan walked in. Investment partners, real estate attorneys, financial advisors. Everyone stood to greet me. "Good morning, Ms. Brooks." Ryan stopped in the doorway. He looked around the room. Nobody stood for him. For the first time in years. He wasn't the most important person at the table. Michael smiled. "Please have a seat, Mr. Mitchell." Ryan sat down without saying a word. I opened the meeting. "Thank you all for coming. As everyone knows, Mitchell Technologies currently leases 12 floors in this building. Our team has completed a full review of the property." One attorney placed several reports on the table. Maintenance records, utility costs, lease history. Everything was perfectly organized. Ryan finally spoke. "Can we skip all this? What exactly do you want?" I looked at him calmly. "I want to understand whether Mitchell Technologies is still the right tenant for this building." The room became silent. Ryan frowned. "What does that mean?" Michael answered before I could. "It means several companies have already offered significantly higher rent." Ryan looked surprised. "You're replacing us?" I shook my head. "No, not yet." He leaned forward. "Then why am I here?" I slid another folder toward him. "Open it." It was a report prepared by an independent consulting firm. Employee turnover had increased by 43%. Customer complaints had doubled. 3 major clients had cancelled contracts. Productivity was at its lowest level in 8 years. Ryan stared at the numbers. His face slowly changed. "I've never seen this report." The CFO cleared his throat. I was going to present it next week." Ryan looked furious. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" No one answered. Finley, the oldest executive in the room, spoke. "Because nobody feels safe telling you bad news anymore." Ryan looked shocked. The executive continued. "You stopped listening. People became afraid to disagree with you. They nodded in meetings and complained in private." Ryan slowly lowered his eyes. The room was completely quiet. I remembered something Ryan once told me years ago. "Our greatest asset isn't our software. It's our people." Somewhere along the way, he had forgotten his own words. I closed the report. "Ryan, I'm not interested in taking your company. I'm interested in protecting my investment." He looked up. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying your company deserves one chance. But only if you're willing to change." Michael placed a new contract on the table. Ryan picked it up. The rent hadn't increased. The lease had been extended for another 10 years. But there was one condition. Every executive, including the CEO, would spend 1 full day every month working alongside frontline employees, cleaning offices, answering customer calls, helping the maintenance crew, eating lunch with interns, listening instead of giving orders. Ryan looked at me in disbelief. "You expect me to do this?" Smiled. "No. I expect a leader to do this." The room fell silent again. Ryan stared at the contract, then quietly whispered something. Something I never thought I'd hear. "I think I've been leading the wrong way all along." Ryan didn't sign the contract immediately. He simply stared at it. For nearly a full minute, no one in the room spoke. Finley, he closed the folder, then looked directly at me. "I owe you an apology." I remained silent. He continued. "I spent years believing success meant proving I didn't need anyone. I pushed away the people who built this company. And the first person I pushed away was you." His voice was different now. Quieter, honest. "I don't expect forgiveness. I don't even deserve it. But I do want one chance to fix what I've broken." I looked around the boardroom. Every executive was watching. Not me. Ryan, waiting to see if he truly meant every word, finally spoke. "An apology doesn't rebuild trust. It only opens the door." He nodded. I understand. I pushed another document toward him. This isn't a lease. He opened it. It contained only one page. The top. It read, Employee Leadership Commitment. Ryan looked confused. What is this? Smiled. It's the promise every executive in this building will sign. He began reading. No employee will ever be humiliated in public. Every promotion will be based on performance. Every concern will be heard without fear. Every executive will spend one day each month working beside frontline employees. Every person deserves respect, regardless of their title. Ryan reached the bottom of the page. There was only one blank line. Signature. Without saying a word, he signed it, then handed me the pen. I'd like you to sign it too. I looked at him. Why me? He smiled sadly. Because this company was never built by one person. It was built by two. For the first time since our divorce, I saw the man I had married years ago. Not the CEO. Just Ryan. The man who once believed in dreams more than money. 3 months later, the changes were impossible to ignore. Employees smiled again. People stopped quitting. Customer satisfaction reached a record high. Several former employees even returned. One afternoon, as I walked through the lobby, a young receptionist stopped me. Ms. Brooks, I just wanted to thank you. Smiled. For what? She looked around the busy building. I've worked in 5 different companies. This is the first place where people make me feel like I matter. I felt tears forming in my eyes. Not because I had bought a building. Not because I had become successful. But because I finally understood something. Winning isn't watching someone else lose. Winning is creating a place where nobody has to lose at all. As I stepped outside, I looked up at the building one last time. The company still carried Ryan's last name. The building belonged to me. But neither of those things mattered anymore. Because the greatest thing either of us had ever built wasn't made of glass, oil, or money. It was built on respect. And this time, no one would ever be fired for being loyal.